to AWS Builds Tech Skills episode number 13. This is Maya, I'm a solutions architect from AWS, and I hope all of you are having a great Thursday or a Friday in some parts of the world. So we would love to hear where you're joining us from. So let's test out the chat function on the right-hand side here on Twitch. And we'll be asking a lot of questions throughout this session, and there'll be polls, etc. Where I am in the world in Australia, it is cloudy and rainy. What's it like over there, May?
Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
Good.
It has been raining last couple of days, so I went into the office. The first time I went into the office in 3 weeks, and it's been raining. So, but I can see a bit of sunshine today, so I'm happy with that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
We can see some audience. Niraj. Apologies if I'm pronouncing the handles incorrectly, but from Austin, Texas, New York City. So welcome to the show. If you haven't seen our show, we have been streaming every month. So third week of every month on the showcasing women in the technology, their projects and demos. So thanks everyone for joining today. Cool. So I have been a bit of traveling last few weeks, Mai. I know you have been crazily busy and traveling. So last week we had an internal conference for technical field community and technical members from AWS, and we all went to Singapore for the first time in about maybe even more than 2 years that we haven't seen or connect with our peers. So it was a really good opportunity. Great to see you, Mai. And I know you're in the space of containers. You've been doing such a great job delivering the workshops at our internal conference. What's your highlights?
Yeah, I would say, catching up with, my colleagues all around the globe, especially those that are passionate about containers. And, we really loved seeing people from all kinds of different roles, not just solutions architects, but shout out to the professional services people. I saw a whole lot of pro-serve, as we call it, pro-serve people there, the TAMs, technical account managers, there's a whole lot of roles, not just solutions architects out there. And it was great to see all of them in person. And the weather was awesome. And what's your highlight for that event, May?
I say it was a really good opportunity to explore, learn new technology, because within AWS we have a lot of amazing technologies and technologies out there, but it's hard to catch up, because things are moving really quickly. So it was a great opportunity to reconnect, learn new things, and I get a chance to sit down and actually do the workshop, have some fun, more importantly. So that was my highlight.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the having fun. For me, it was related to the weather as well, because it was really nice and warm. And speaking of weather, let's have a bit of a poll. Let's have some interaction here. So It's poll time. So let's check out what the poll is all about. All right. So hopefully everyone can see that. If you're on your mobile, it's a little difficult to see. But what's the weather like in your area? If you can put in the chat 1 through to 5. Number 1, is it sunny and hot? Number 2, is it sunny but cold? Number 3, is it rainy and hot? Number 4, rainy and cold. Number 5, I don't know. I haven't actually been outside. So 1 through to 5, which one is it?
It's sunny and cold because it's still winter in Australia. Well, I wouldn't say winter, it's the spring, but still a little bit chilly.
Oh, wow. Sunny but cold. There's quite a few sunny but colds around there. Yeah, I wonder if there's Australians in here. Oh, there's a good spread of answers here. Oh, okay. Sunny and hot comes into play as well. So I'm I'm thinking there's a lot of people from North America here. Or maybe in Singapore. We'll see.
Sunny. Singapore was it was sunny. It was hot. It was humid. But it was good to get a bit of a change from cold weather from Australia and then get to Singapore, try all the tropical fruits.
Yeah, absolutely. The food was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't. You could go. You could get like some local food in Australia, maybe in Sydney, but then it's not the same. It's not the same as Singapore. So I have to give that. It's just like very authentic local food there.
Yeah, and it was cheap. I found it
Yeah,
was like really cheap and good quality as well, you know.
for
And
sure. Yeah,
yeah, I miss the food already. Awesome,
cool.
awesome.
So
All right.
this one, what are we talking about, Mai?
Yes, we are talking about QuickSight. So, all about analytics and a little bit about machine learning. Now, speaking of machine learning, right? So, I just wanted to quickly talk about this event, this exciting event which is coming up. So, let me
Ooh,
reshare my screen again. So, we have something called AWS Deep Racer. And I'm not going to talk about what exactly it is yet because I want you all to have a guess what it is. But basically, have a cool event running all across Australia. So if you're in Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, we have an event at the AWS office at each of these locations, all at the same time, which is on the Thursday, 6th of October, 2022. So come and register first, please register, and come and check out the AWS office and just, have a chat to us solutions architects. Even if you don't know what Deep Racer is all about, you just want to talk to an AWS person.
that's a real yeah. And also, it's running in the multiple location. It's a really good opportunity to meet people, like-minded people, have fun with it, and then come and check out AWS Office.
Yes, absolutely. So let's go to the audience in a second and find out if anyone knows. Okay, let's have a look. Bear with me for a sec. All right. All right, so can everyone see that? Hopefully everyone can see this.
Yeah.
What is AWS Deep Racer? So give us an answer, one through to four. Is it number one, an initiative that AWS supports on helping F1 race car drivers? Is it number two, a 1A team-sized race car and track that helps with learning about machine learning? Learning about machine learning, that sounds a little bit redundant. Number three, is it a new show on Prime Video? Or number four, Amazon's fleet of electric vehicles that helps with sustainability? Which one is it?
Wow. It might be number three. I don't know. A new show on Prime Video. That's interesting.
Have you been watching any new Prime shows, May?
No, I haven't. But I've been watching Stranger Things. If you're into Stranger Things, but it eats up a lot of my time. Like after work, I would just sit down, have dinner, and then put the episodes on. But yeah, I need to watch out some of the few shows on Prime.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I know Rings of Power is out, so that's related to the Lord of the Rings. So that's an
Yeah.
awesome production. If you haven't already, go and check it out. And if you're a real estate sort of, connoisseur, you call it, there's Lugs listings. So that's been my favorite on
Oh
Prime.
yeah.
So it's all about the Sydney real estate market. So, if you want to
You
check out
know
some
what?
cool
Yeah, like some of the cool real estate, like but not that I know much about it, but some of the really cool, they're like somewhere close to the beach, good locations. But it'd be pretty cool to check it out. What's out there?
Yeah, and there's plenty of great shows on Prime.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see what the answers look like. There's been a few
Don't be
answers.
shy. Just drop your have a wild guess. What is AWS Deep Racer? But if you're in Australia, but we run this around the world as well, right? So if you're in Australia, if you don't know what Deep Racers is, have a wild guess, and then come and check it out at the AWS office.
Yeah, definitely. And for those that actually win the regionals, you're in the draw to actually get an all expenses paid ticket to reInvent 2022. So that means not just your plane tickets, not just your entry tickets, but there's some spending money in there as well. So I
That's pretty
bet,
cool.
yeah, this is not widely advertised, and yeah,
Yeah.
definitely something to check out. And for those of you who don't know reInvent 2022, it's our one of the largest tech conferences in the world. So it's where we talk about AWS services, but not just AWS services. There's really fun and cool things that happen, including chicken wing eating competitions and some really random stuff, including a cool DJ. So it's almost like a
Yeah.
festival with
Yeah.
some learning as well. May, have you been to reInvent yet?
No, I haven't been, but I really would like to go. So maybe I should try Deep Racer and see if I could get a spot and if become part of the champion. Well, I'm just joking, but I would love
Mm.
to. Have you been mine?
Yes, I have actually, as part of the they used to call it the Cloud Warriors group, but now it's called the Cloud Dev and Cloud Alliance. So
Oh,
um,
yeah.
yeah, so back in the day, I was part of that group, and uh, yeah, we were fortunate to have the opportunity to go to reInvent as a customer. It was quite mind blowing because at the time, I think there was at least 20,000 or more people. Um,
Wow, that's a
yeah,
massive event. Yeah.
it was huge,
Yeah.
and you would get very lost around Vegas. So just
I don't think I I don't think I mind getting lost in Vegas.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, wear comfortable shoes, and that's number one advice that everyone would give people that are fortunate enough to go to reInvent. So let's see what the answer for this one is. It is number two. So congratulations for those that got it right. It's a 1/18 size race car and track that helps with learning about machine learning, especially about reinforcement learning. And it's a good way to get into machine learning. So, curious, May, like machine learning, do you think that's it's an easy thing or easy thing to sort of like, is there a steep learning curve? What are your thoughts?
I just do you know what? Like machine learning is all it's cool, like because you can do like I can see a lot of my customer doing a lot of smart things with machine learning. But to get into machine learning, there are some level of experiments or the knowledge that require. However, maybe deep bracer is one way to get into a machine learning, so it's some way you can have fun, have the learning opportunity, and to be get into machine learning without having going through the documentations and getting and you get really easily hands-on with the deep bracer event. So maybe this is the good opportunity for anyone who is interested in the machine learning and want to get their hands dirty, and I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's really important, I believe, in learning to get hands on. You
Mm,
can always learn about theory, but for
yeah.
me personally, I learn best when I actually, start to experiment and start to, yeah, just try things out. And by the way, deep racer, you don't need to be, you don't even need to have knowledge of machine learning to begin with. So you can start from zero, and then maybe end up winning deep racer at reInvent, and that
Yeah.
happened. One of the winners there, she was from Japan. She wasn't a machine learning engineer to begin with, but she really accelerated her learning through Deep Racer. So now she's an expert in her field. But
That's
yeah,
really amazing. Yeah, there you go.
that's
Ticket
right.
to Las Vegas.
Yep. good ticket to Las Vegas. So definitely give it a go. All right. Now, speaking about learning and all the awesome skill sets around data and analytics, today's guest, Olivia Carline, will be joining us live. So make sure you stick around after her session around QuickSight, and also, like, test out the chat functionality and ask her questions, because we'll be doing a live Q&A with her. And you can ask her anything about the tech or anything about her career or anything else that you're curious about. So, let's have Olivia join us to talk about analytics and QuickSight.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Carline, an Analytics Solutions Architect here at AWS. In this session, I am going to be discussing our business intelligence product, Amazon QuickSight, and in particular, the machine learning capabilities that are on offer when you use the service. I'm going to be speaking to some of the more introductory features, so some of the out-of-the-box capabilities, so don't worry if you don't have any machine learning expertise. But we'll also be discussing right through to those more advanced users. So potentially if you've already got a SageMaker model that you're working with, I'll be touching on very basics right up until very advanced capabilities that are available. Now, with that said, let's get started by taking a look into what actually is Amazon QuickSight. So like I mentioned, Amazon QuickSight is our BI product, but it does work a little bit differently to more traditional BI tools. In particular, with QuickSight, you do get scalable pricing. You can either opt to pay per user or pay per session. And with that, you're only charged when your users actually consume and interact with those dashboards. Additionally, QuickSight is fully managed, so all of the server maintenance and infrastructure setup is taken care of for you. Alongside that, and as you would expect, because we are part of the AWS suite of services, QuickSight is fully integrated with AWS services. Whether you're after CloudTrail for logging of your user activity, or potentially you want that integration with IAM for your identity and access management, it's incredibly easy to set that up within QuickSight. Additionally, QuickSight does come out of the box with developer support, so we have a rich suite of SDKs and APIs that allow you to control embedding QuickSight within your own applications, as well as manage assets and access within your account. Finally, and what really is going to be the topic of today, is this machine learning capability that we've got. Like I called out before, I'm going to be discussing, some of the beginner machine learning options that we've got available if you're not too experienced with ML, right through to actually augmenting your data with your own SageMaker model. But let's get started by looking into some of the more introductory built-in insights that require no expertise. Within QuickSight, we do have 3 different flavors of ML insights. So we've got anomaly detection, forecasting, as well as auto narratives. Anomaly detection, as the name does suggest, helps you to easily identify any outliers as well as any anomalies in your data. This can be configured within a few clicks within the console and is built using the random cut forest algorithm under the hood. Now, this exact same algorithm is actually used for the forecasting insight as well. So they do work hand in hand. With forecasting, you are making predictions about your data, based on your data about the future. So this takes into consideration built-in seasonality within your data, as well as any trends that can be identified. Now, anomaly detection works actually from the forecasting. So using that forecasting, QuickSight is understanding what the predicted data point should be at a particular point in time. And from that, if it's beyond a certain threshold, it can be classified as an anomaly. So those two do go in quite closely together. Now, this third insight is this auto narratives. And this allows you to easily bring attention to your end users about some key insights that you want to highlight within your data. So any top movers, any changes, as well as potentially any anomalies, it can be really easy to include them in your dashboard and make a powerful story woven into it. However, even with these insights, there might be a time where users actually want to have a particular question answered that isn't already answered within your dashboard. In times like that, you can use our next machine learning capability, and that's Amazon QuickSight Q. QuickSight Q is our natural language querying feature, and it allows your users to ask questions of their data. So you can see here, we've got this question, what is the week-over-week revenue difference? And what used to happen before QuickSight Q was around is if someone needed this answer, what would happen is they'd have to create a sim or a trouble ticket and send it off to the BI team. And that might take a few days or even a few weeks to actually get the response back and to have a visualization added within the dashboard. Now with QuickSight Q, our end users can simply type their question in and they're returned a visualization answering their question within seconds. So I'll show you what this looks like, and I'll make sure it's quite clear and easy to set up. Now the third capability is a SageMaker integration. Now what typically happens when you're trying to include your machine learning insights into your BI tool is there's quite a lot of movement that's involved. So moving the code, copying the data, actually being able to get those insights in can be a bit challenging. With this built-in capability, all you have to do is connect to a model that you've pre-created within SageMaker and set that up using a schema that you've defined and you're connecting to your data set. Now, don't worry if that doesn't make any sense just yet, because I will be going through a demo of each of the 3 capabilities that I've just spoken about. So let's look into it by getting started with those ML insights. So we're now within the QuickSight console, and if anyone hasn't seen this before, this is what it looks like when you are in the analysis mode. So we're working with an editable version of a dashboard. For this particular scenario, I have got a fairly simple data set that I'm using. So it contains sample data relating to SaaS sales of a fictitious company. And all I've got at the moment is 2 simple visualizations, one for a line chart showing the sales by date, and then a separate pivot table showing sales by order date broken down by region and sub-region. If I wanted to add an insight, let's say for anomaly detection, there are actually a few different ways that I could do this, but the most intuitive is to simply go into the Insights menu on the left and click on Insights. Now this will show us the suggested insights based off the data. So once we select a visualization like so, you can see we've now populated this Insights tab. And at the very bottom, we've got this machine learning powered one, which says an anomaly has actually been detected on November 2021. And it was due to the fact that there was a higher than expected sales. So what they were actually anticipating using the random cut forest algorithm was $45,000 in sales, but instead they got $112,000. So quite a significant jump. If we want to, we can add this to our analysis by simply clicking on the plus add. And in here, we've got the ability to actually customize this anomaly. So if we click on get started, we're taken to the anomaly page. And in here, we can configure how we'd like to run this anomaly job. A really cool thing just to point out in here is we can also select fields. If we want to see what the top contributors were that actually contributed to this anomaly occurring. So let's say we wanted to see what were the major countries that contributed to this anomaly that happened in November. Now in here, you can see we have actually seen an increase. So we've got the Philippines, Canada, and Sweden all had a significant impact in that. If we click save, we can now actually run this anomaly as well, and that will happen in the background. While we wait for that, I'll just take you through the next insight, and that is that forecasting. Like before, we can add it simply by going into the Insights tab, or if we want to, we can click on the ellipsis, click on Add Forecast, and we are able to actually add the forecast in. We can do some changes to the configuration of our forecast, so whether we want to look how many periods forward we want to look, and that period is based off the date aggregate that we've selected for our visual. So at the moment, it's looking 14 months forward. We can even look backwards in time, so we can configure that to be 6 periods backward. If we click apply, and I'll just increase that. And because we are going backwards in time, we can now actually see how accurate our algorithm is compared to what the data actually is for those months. That third insight is those auto narratives. So if we want to add those in, another approach we can take is to click Add Insight, and we can see all the different computation types in here. So let's just look at top ranked for now. So we'll see the top for a chosen category. So if we want to see the top sales for, let's have a look into potentially segment. And if we go into sales as well, so it's very easy to actually bring attention to what we want to showcase. So in this scenario, all we've had to do is choose the 2 different fields we want included, so sales and segment, and we've easily created that insight like so. So it's quite useful, and you can see we've very easily added in some machine learning capabilities. But there is a time where we want to add, or our users have questions that they want about their data, and we might not necessarily have the time to add those to our analysis. So what we can do is use QuickSight Q, and so you may have noticed I've got this Q search bar here at the top. And if our user came in and let's say they had a question relating to the sales of orders between 2 different countries, what they can do is they can simply type it in here. When they do so, they can also see the previously asked questions like in here. So if we just take this example, so orders for, actually let's do sales for Australia compared to Canada as an example. I haven't tested this one out before. And we'll just wait and give it a few seconds. And that's why you test it. Because you don't say compared to Australia, you say compared to Canada. Like so, and I'll make sure I do actually rehearse that. But now we'll just wait a few seconds for that visualization to load. And you can see here we now have a geospatial data that shows us that we've had so far 138,000 in sales for Canada compared to 80,000 for Australia. If we wanted to, we can easily adjust the visual type. So rather than being a geospatial like so, we could change it to being a donut chart, for example, if we wanted to. Now on the back end, what's actually happening when we work with this is we're using a topic within QuickSight Q. And a topic is just a way to logically organize your data. So we have, in this case, a topic for sales that relates to this data. We might also have a topic if we were dealing with HR data. We'd have a separate HR one, a separate finance one. Just a way to organize it. Within a topic, we configure our data sets that we're working with. And this is really the only customization that you need to do within Q. Is you can do some optimization. So if we wanted to include synonyms, or if we wanted to include synonyms not just for our fields, but also for our actual values, we could do so in here. And we can also define a default aggregation as well as some different semantic types. And this just ensures that when our users are asking our questions, Q is responding in the most accurate way possible. But so far, we really haven't seen any machine learning that we've needed to actually build out ourselves. And that's where we're going to come to now, which is the SageMaker integration. So if I just jump back to my analysis in here, I have, however, I want to use a machine learning model, and I have actually built one out previously, but I want to see, in particular, will SLA be met for our different orders? In order to configure this, and what you can see in this example, we've got this yes, no, whether or not they will be met, is we need to connect to our SageMaker model. So to do that, if I go into a data set, we can click on Edit Data Set. We can click on Add and then go down to Add SageMaker Augmentation. All we have to do in here is choose the model, and this model is one that I have built out before, so it's just within SageMaker. Under Inference, I've pre-created this one. And I've run this, so I have used some training data that already has whether or not that SLA was met for those previous orders. And we've used that training data to train our model. So now we can come back in, we can select our model. We also need to provide a schema. And this is essentially just an agreement to SageMaker that the data that we are providing actually does meet the data that it's already been working with and what it is expecting within the model. So the schema just includes a breakdown of the schema of the different fields within the data set. We can click on Upload. You can see in here we've got all of the different fields and the type that they are, and then the output that we want. So the output in this example is will SLA be met? It's a string, and we can click on Next. We just confirm that the inputs do match and click on Next. And then we can click Prepare Data. Now it will take a few minutes because every time we do save this data set, it is essentially performing a batch transform within SageMaker to do so. It is worth calling out if you are interested in using SageMaker within QuickSight. It works with regression as well as classification models. Once we have that working, we can go back, and to be quite clear, I've got 2 different data sets that I'm working with. This one here actually has already got the SageMaker integration already, so it's got that will SLA be met. And because of that, we can now just use that field like we would with all of the other fields within our visualizations. We can use it within our insights, and we can get up and running with it instantly. So that was a very rapid fire run through of the 3 different levels of machine learning that we've got within QuickSight. So to recap, if you don't have any experience, you're better off just going with the built-in insights, so those anomaly detections, forecasting, and auto narratives. If you want to add a little bit more interactivity and support some of your users who might have questions that aren't easily answered within the visuals, QuickSight Q, so our natural language querying capability, is the way to go. And finally, if you do have that in-house experience, feel free to go with the SageMaker integration and actually work with the models that you've already got set up. With that said, I just want to jump over and answer any questions that anyone might have.
All right, thank you, Olivia. Now, before we bring Olivia back online, let's go to a poll. So let me share the screen. All right, so question to the audience. Does anyone use data analytics on a day-to-day basis? Let us know. Is it 1 or 2? Type
That's
in
a
1.
good question. Yeah. Don't be shy. Just drop 1 if you use the analytics on a day-to-day basis, or 2, maybe not so much.
Do you use analytics, May, on a day-to-day basis?
Not on a day-to-day basis. But to be fair, I do use it maybe every 2 weeks or so to see how am I doing. Like with my role, because there are different things involved, right? So it's good to know where my focus is. Like, am I spending too much time on a one particular area, or have I not spent enough time with my customer? Do I need to do more sharpen the saw in the last 2 weeks? So that I can adjust in the following weeks. Like if I need to spend more time to learn about machine learning, maybe that's my focus is. So it's good to know, because the data these days is really useful, and you've got a lot of data in your hand, and doing something with it, like some sort of analytics, is it's quite useful. What about you, Mai?
Yeah, I mean, I should be using analytics on a day-to-day basis, but yeah, it's all about time management, right? As you said, and I should use QuickSight even more. I did used to use it quite a lot as a customer, but yeah, I definitely would love to use it more when I have the time and opportunity. It seems like the audience is saying too, no, but I'm interested. A lot of people are interested, and I'm sure whichever industry you're in, or whether you're a student or whether you're working, definitely it can be applicable for your day-to-day lives. So have a go. And especially if you're studying for certification, QuickSight does come up in some of the certifications. So
Totally.
yeah, good for certification purposes as well, to sort of dip your feet into AWS in that aspect. Really easy to use and intuitive too. So a lot of people too, there's no ones, which is interesting. There's no data analytics people
It is
here.
good. It's good to see. Like sometimes it's a cool topic. It's a popular trend in the data analytics, but it's not just for the business. It could be useful for day to day as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Now let's bring in the expert, Olivia. So Q&A time. Hey, Olivia.
Hey, good morning,
Olivia.
Mai. Good morning, Mai.
How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. So I haven't seen you for a while. So let us know where you are answering this Q&A for.
Yes, no. So definitely been a lot of movement here. I think we're finally starting to get a little bit back to pre-COVID days of traveling internationally again. But at the moment, I am at my home base here in Melbourne.
That's cool. No, nice. So that was a really great demo. Before I dive into like some of your career and experience, I want to ask about some technical question. But anyone's on the live streaming, if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the chat, and we can ask Olivia right now. So my first question. So you recap about 3 things in the demo. And I'm not going to go and ask about SageMaker because it's a little bit out of my depth at the moment. I want to know about QuickSight Q. So it's really interactive when you are showing the geospatial with the Canada and Australia. For someone who want to get started with QuickSight Q, what are your suggestions on how to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is great timing because we did launch QuickSight Q in 4 new regions, including the Sydney region last week. But as well as that, we've now introduced, I think a few weeks ago, you no longer need to have a QuickSight Q pricing agreement. You can simply just get started, play around with Q through 6 sample topics within your account. So if anyone is interested and they don't want to commit to working with Q, you can still have a look at what happens on the back end to that topic that we went through, as well as actually working and asking some questions to those sample topics. So it's really easy to get familiar without committing to anything.
That's really good because it's just easy to ask questions just like you would normally ask to a person and get the data out of it. So that's really cool. All right, we have got one question from the audience, and again, calling out if you have any questions, drop in the chat, and we are going to ask Olivia on the spot. So the questions from the Noonie, or sorry, apologies if I'm pronouncing it, your Twitch handle. How does AWS QuickSight ingest data? Maybe if you could share the different way to ingest the data into the QuickSights and your experience on that would be great.
Yeah, so within QuickSight, we do support a range of different data sources. So you can connect to Redshift, Athena, a wide range of supported AWS data services, so S3 data services that you would expect. As well as that, we support third-party tools. So if you're working with Salesforce or Jira, it's very easy to ingest that data. But in the demo that I did just run through, I actually did simply upload that CSV. So if you have a file hosted locally, you can simply just click upload and get started that way.
Cool. So you can just upload the CSV like just to get started and see how does the QuickSight works. Hopefully that answered the questions. Thanks, Olivia. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your career. Like in this room, we all solutions architect, like myself, Mai is a solutions architect. But you're analytics solutions architect. What is it really different from your perspective, like specializations in analytics versus like myself and Mai, who is an enterprise solutions architect?
Yeah, so I think there are definitely a lot of similarities first. So I think for each of our different SA roles, customer support and advisory is the fundamental role that we do perform. So for me, it's a lot of customer meetings, a lot of working with customers through emails, through support tickets to make sure that their questions are being answered. But I think where it does slightly differ is potentially more in terms of some of the other roles that I've got, which is mainly kind of helping improve or change the influence of the product. So with Amazon QuickSight, part of my role is to create feature requests for the service. So it's a lot of getting feedback from our customers, working with the service team to make sure that their thoughts and their opinions are being heard to help shape the direction of where QuickSight is heading. Alongside that, I do a lot of what we call thought leadership within the role. So trying to basically, based off trends that we can see when we're working with our customers, actually make sure that we are sharing our best practices and noticing what's working well with the interactions that we're having, but scaling them out to those customers that we potentially might not be able to meet with one-on-one. So working through blog posts, YouTube videos to make sure that we are getting across to all of our customers wherever they are.
Yeah, like today you're sharing about the QuickSight with our online audience. So that's really cool. And I'm going to ask Mai, because you're enterprise SA and I'm in a different segment. I'm in small to medium. Do you see any difference from analytics solutions architect, Mai?
Yeah, enterprise solutions architects, I mean, in general, like we have a really deep relationship with our customers. I guess in comparison to, I guess the small to medium businesses. We look after a smaller number of customers, but really deep into, at the moment, I guess I'm in the financial services sector. So a lot of deep conversations about financial services use cases. And it's a really, I guess, there's some quirks around, some of the regulatory side of things, a lot of discussion around security, a lot of talk about compute and containers. So it is definitely different.
That's cool, because we all solutions architect, but within AWS, but we play different roles. So I'm in small to medium businesses. I have like my top account, maybe 2 or 3 customer that I have a deep engagement, but I have a volume amount of customer that you really need to action them because the time is pressure and you've got like a lot of customer behind. So the type of activities that we do day to day, it's quite different, but it's good fun. I want to ask Olivia, because you're analytics solutions architect and also your career journey is quite interesting. So tell us about how you get into a QuickSight or analytics essay and what's your career journey looks like.
Yeah, so for me, I started with AWS at the end of 2019 as an intern. So I was still studying at my computer science degree, but I took that on over the summer holidays. And that was really my first experience, not just with AWS, but just with cloud in general. So it was very eye-opening and such a positive experience. I ended up coming back through what we call the TechU graduate program, which is AWS's graduate program for some of the more technical roles. So it is essentially an extension of university where you are doing some classroom-based training, you're completing in labs, working in a cohort just to get familiar and work through all of the various different technologies that we've got within AWS. And there are quite a few, so it is a 6-month process before you move on to on-the-job training. After completing that role, I moved into an associate solutions architect role, which is another different type of solution architect that we have within AWS. And then after that, I moved into my current QuickSight role within the analytics SA team. And that change was a bit of a leap for me. I honestly went into the interview a little bit apprehensive, a bit nervous, but I think you just have to take that chance when it comes for it. So that was a positive experience, and it's worked very well so far.
No, that's really cool. So you get through the graduate program, did the internship at AWS, and then get into a more specialized role. So that's really cool. Any questions for Olivia? Please feel free to drop in the chat. Any advice from Olivia, like if you're students or if you're still in your university years, if you want some advice from Olivia, how she went through her journey from being the internship to become a full-time and now a specialized solutions architect at AWS, reach out to Olivia on LinkedIn. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Now I'm going to pass it on to Mai. I know, Mai, you have some burning questions for Olivia.
Yeah, so kind of steering away from tech a little bit. Have you tried any cool recipes lately? I'd love to hear from you, Olivia.
Yes, absolutely. So I am an avid chef in the kitchen. I don't know if all of my recipes turn out too successfully, but my partner's a very happy test participant of that. So he's always enjoying what I cook up. But at the moment, I'm going through a pasta phase. So I had a few friends over on Monday night, cooked up a sausage pasta, was so excited by that. I ended up cooking a carbonara the night after. So it's really been, I give myself a week at the most or 2 before I'm sick of pastas and I move on to another dish to just go crazy with.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, pasta's always a hit, isn't it, with everyone? I haven't run into anyone that doesn't like pasta. So yeah, it's always on the rotation for me as well. That's awesome. All right. Going back to the tech, what's the biggest lesson learned about working in a technical role at AWS?
I think for AWS specifically, it has been just making sure that you stay up to date with all of the technologies. And I'm sure this is something that you both have gone through, is just how fast AWS moves and the cloud in general, is you really can't sit back and watch it move without being there and trying to keep up to date with it. So for me, I've learned to really make sure that I'm following the trends. I'm keeping up to date with all of the new services and features that are coming out. I did have a meeting when I first joined where a customer was speaking about a new feature that had come out, and they moved so fast. So the feature came out, I think, 3 days before the meeting, and they were already using it and testing it out. And that was a moment where I hadn't heard of it, but I realized I really need to focus on this and make sure that I am continuously learning and staying up to date.
Yeah, definitely. That's 200 plus services that we have now. It's really difficult to keep up to date, and our customers are sometimes way ahead of us because they use it every day on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I definitely struggle with that. And yeah, mate, like how do you deal with your many customers and like the many services that you have to sort of deal with your, you know, your customers? Like how do you stay up to date?
That's a difficult one, right? So this is comes to play with you spend time like in AWS. We set aside a time to keep up to date with the services, try new things. So probably Friday, like today in Australia, I will spend a couple of hours to try out new services, maybe preparation for before the next week of the meetings for the new services. So one of my customers is asking about the Amazon Connect, which is a cloud contact center. So I need to go and research about it, try it out before I go and talk to the customer. So I guess it's really is to prioritize and set aside a time to do some research, to do my own learnings. I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting hands-on, get your hands dirty, go and break things. Just don't break things in production. Or try not to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always tell our customers, if you have like a sandbox AWS account or some kind of non-production that won't affect your existing workloads, go ahead and try it. I mean, you can try it on your own account, but make sure AWS budgets are set on so you don't exceed the threshold of, you know, in terms of costs. So there's a lot of documentation around that if you want to learn more. But moral of the story, just try it out. All right, let's see. What does your day-to-day look like as an analytics solutions architect, Olivia?
So for me, no 2 days are ever the same, and I think it's probably quite applicable for both of your SA roles as well. So it's hard to really answer that question because what I was doing yesterday is completely different to what I'll be doing today and for all of next week. But often there is, a few customer meetings that I have. So working with our Australia and New Zealand customers, I'll meet with them either virtually or in person, just to kind of go through some new features that are coming up on the roadmap, walk them through some best practices, and generally just help them get unstuck if they've run into a problem. Alongside that, there'll be a bit of work, just like I mentioned earlier, just getting out, make sure that we're reaching our wider customers. So creating those blog posts. At the moment, I'm working on one which will hopefully go live in a few weeks, which will cover some of our best practices for data source connectivity. But as well as that, we have events that come up, videos such as this, where we are, talking about the product and making sure people are aware of what we're working on.
Yeah, definitely. That thought leadership is really important for any solutions architect, right? And you mentioned your blog posts, your videos, a lot of different things that we can help with our customers. And in your case, it'll be QuickSight focused, but really, really important so that our customers know how to start experimenting and start iterating on some cool projects around analytics and any other sort of area as well. All right, I think, do we have a question here? We have a question from Obafemi_D. Do they have TechU in Africa? Do you know the answer to this one, Olivia?
No, so unfortunately, I don't know the answer to this, but I did notice someone has posted the TechU link in the chat. So that will have information about the various different TechU programs that are running globally. So I was part of the APAC one. I know we've got a North America one, EMEA. So I'm not entirely sure if we have Africa up and running just yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. So this is the link here. So have a look at that page and just filter down to your region and see if that's around. And we have another question here as well from Jan Joy. What do you feel makes you successful in your role?
Oh, what a good question. I think for me, making sure a customer, as soon as we've fixed a problem for them and they're able to move forward, that feeling is, for me, what it's all about. So when they're able to continue moving forward, when we've been stuck on something for maybe a few hours or even a few days, once that gets unblocked, that's when I feel like, yes, I'm doing my job. Even if it's a very small problem, it feels good. I think it's all about the problem solving in particular for this particular role. But that's really how I judge, if I'm doing good or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Problem solving. May, what do you feel about this one?
I have to agree. Like sometimes the customer have the business challenges, a blocker. Like Olivia said, it could be a small problem, but it is a blocker for them. And if that's the role of the SA, right? If we can help to remove that blocker for them, either we're working through our internal team, asking other people, or we can help remove that blocker. That is a win for me. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Looks like there's no other questions here. There's someone joining us from the US here. Oops, what's happening here? Fafftown, North Carolina, United States. Welcome, Jennifer. If there's no other questions, let's wrap it up here. Thank you, Olivia, for your time today, and thank you for being so enthusiastic about analytics and just around advising everyone around their potential technical careers. So thank you so much for your time, Olivia, and hopefully we'll see you next time, maybe when there's a new feature released around QuickSight.
Yes, Sophie, thank you both for your time, and thank you everyone for attending and listening in.
Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you, and hope to see you next month around this time. And let's net out together on She Builds Tech Skills.
Oh, before we go, we do have a poll because we want to
have a poll.
Yes, we do. We do have a poll as well. So let me share my screen. All right. So we just talked about analytics, but what would you like to hear more from us next time? So 1 through to 6. Number 1, do you want to hear about AI machine learning? Number 2, do you want to hear about DevOps? Number 3, what about security? Don't forget about security. Number 4, data analytics. Number 5, more about like non-technical. What about it is technical, but more about careers. Do you want to hear about careers? Number 6, another topic that we didn't think about. So put it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
I'm going to put my vote in. I think maybe security. Maybe? Oh, that's interesting. Sabrina talk about technical careers, how to get into technical careers and where to start. That's a good one. That's for sure.
That's let's see. Now, pink is actually topics about DevOps. That's interesting. A lot of people want DevOps. We haven't covered that in a while, and I think that will be worthwhile as well.
That would be a good one. Yeah.
We have a lot of AI/ML, and we have covered that quite a bit. So maybe it is time for DevOps time. It's DevOps time.
DevOps or security or maybe technical careers. Yeah. No, totally. Maybe next month, let's do DevOps, see what we can come up with.
Yes. Okay, here's a question from Jan J. Would love your take on working in continuous deployment, in a continuous deployment as a solutions architect. Let's kind of dive deep into that. So working in a continuous deployment, as in using CI/CD as a solutions architect, or is it in another context? What do you reckon, mate?
I when I read it, I would just thought like CI/CD and maybe as a essay, how do you approach CI/CD? Like, Thanks for clarifying, Jen J. What do you reckon, Mai? Like, I think you have some customer that is doing the CI/CD and what sort of activities do you do with your customer?
Yeah, so they're all, a lot of my customers ask about, what's the best practices, and
Yeah.
it really depends, right? Once again, it depends. The favorite saying of solutions architects here, because your customer or you could be using different kind of solutions. So it's all about integration, especially for enterprise customers, and a lot of customers use a lot of third-party solutions. It could be GitLab. It could be Jenkins, it could be Bamboo, it could be anything, right? So a lot of questions that I get is, how do AWS services integrate with those CI/CD tooling? And that answer would differ according to your environment, right? So, and what
I would say it also comes down to the experience or the knowledge with the dev team, because these days DevOps and like a software engineer, they're not working far too apart. They work really closely, and understanding where the engineer stands, because they are the one who is writing code, pushing into the pipeline, and then the DevOps where they play a massive role in putting it into the production, making sure nothing breaks. So I believe it also the team that you work with, and there are a lot of tools out there, and I find it each of the tools and technology have their pros and cons. Like some of them you can do a one-click deployment, and some of them you would want to, a person at the end before you deploy it into a production system. And some of my customer, they want a rich features of testing, like the ability to automate testing during the pipeline. So I would go back to to the customer, the requirements and what they're really looking for. If they very much focus on the automations and CI/CD, there are so many tools out there. Maybe we should dive into that in the next episode. Let's do a DevOps in the next one. That sounds like a good topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another question around cloud practitioner certification. Let me just share one more screen around this certification. So these are the QR codes for folks that are interested to learn more about AWS certifications. We've got Skill Builder. So AWS Skill Builder just got released. It's our digital offering around training and certification. So if you're interested in cloud practitioner or solutions architect associate or any other specialty certifications out there, including the professional certifications, hop onto Skill Builder. It has some really awesome exam preparation materials around sample questions, etc. And some of them are actually free. May, have you tried Skill Builder?
I have tried Skill Builder, and also I have directed Skill Builder to a few of my customers. So I have a lot of courses, like a lot of learnings that you can do on the Skill Builders. And like answering the question from Sabrina, the certification is a great start in IT careers. Like in my opinion, they gave you a good knowledge of, like, especially getting into IT or getting into solutions architect or particular specific area. They are a good way to make sure that you understand the core concept of the technology and then validate that. And it's really helpful when you go into interviews and applying for a job as well. So, but what do you think, Mai? Do you reckon the certification is a good way to get into the IT?
Yeah, I started off by getting my solutions architect associate, and that led to a career with using AWS. So it's a really good way to sort of get your foot in the door for any AWS related roles. So highly recommended. So just give it a go. Don't be afraid of failing. Yeah, that's my advice. Yeah.
I was going to say
discount vouchers as well. So
there you go, 50% discount vouchers on the skills, on the certifications. So I would say scan the QR code. This is the QR code, teaser QR code to the link, and then you can get a link to the Skills Builder. But if you also, I'll post a link in a minute as well. Aaron, welcome. Yeah, skill builder is great.
Awesome. Cheers, Aaron. All right, I think we're at time at the moment, and thanks, Aaron, for the link. So let's wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, for being so interactive, and let's change up the topic in the next couple of months. But we'll see you at the same time next month, every third Friday.
Every
At
third
3
Friday.
p.m. PST. Yes. So we'll send you the details then. So thank you, everyone, for joining. This is Mai.
This is May, and let's net out together on AWS She Builds Tech Skills. See you next time.
See you next time.